There's no doubt they are the best team in Europe, but can Liverpool do the unthinkable and win the treble? Let's take a look at whether or not there will be a trophy extravaganza at Anfield in May. First off, and one of the reasons I think they can do it is because the main part, the guys who do the business on the pitch, that is the players. I'm not even just talking about the first 11, but the squad as a whole. The squad balance is immense, and even though they've had a few injuries at a few stages over the season, they're just coming back to fitness so quickly. If they go on to win all three, the whole medical team should be getting an unbelievable amount of recognition and a few medals to boot. I mean, look at Fabinho. Even when he's injured, there's players who are stepping up and really well. Oxlade-Chamberlain is pushing the first team regular starters like Fabinho, as well as Henderson and Gini Wijnaldum. James Milner can literally fill in any position, and Naby Keita's still got the quality, despite his injury problems, to be really pushing for a first team spot. On top of this, there's Adam Lallana, who's playing pretty decently when he gets the chance to, even though his contract is expiring at the end of the season. And as for the front three, well, aside from the likes of Mane, Salah and Firmino, if those two aren't playing, they've got Minamino, Shaqiri and Origi to fill in. I mean, these are kind of players that most teams would love to have, and Liverpool have got them as backups. The one key addition to this is obviously that Virgil van Dijk is staying immensely fit. There's just nothing that can touch him, no one that can dribble past him, and no injury that he cannot overcome, probably within the space of a day. The fact that he is so fit throughout the whole season is so good, especially considering that his defensive partner chops and changes, like the likes of Gomez. There's also Lovren and Joel Matip. They all go through their injury worries, but Van Dijk, he's there week in, week out, doing the business. Now, I'm not saying Liverpool don't have their injury problems, but when they do, they've just got such brilliant cover, and this is so key heading into the end of the season, as they're going to be in 3 competitions. Well, that if they don't get knocked out early, but if they do, that would be an immense surprise. And talking of competitions, that moves me on to my next point. Liverpool do not necessarily need to prioritise the Premier League. Much has been made of how well Klopp's side have done in the cup competitions, even when he's fielded most of the youngsters. Take away the Aston Villa result in the League Cup and the Shrewsbury game, well, he's done a pretty fantastic job. This, when you couple up with the fact that they're so far ahead in the league, means they don't really need to put too much effort into the Premier League on a regular basis. Of course, they're all going to want to win. Whichever player goes onto the pitch, they're going to want to win the football matches. They're pros, they're driven by Klopp, and they know they're playing for Liverpool. But what I mean is they're so far ahead, they can afford to lose a game or two. Liverpool's massive game of the season is being seen as the game against Manchester City at the Etihad. But you know what? They can go ahead and lose that. If they've got a more important FA Cup or Champions League game, they can go and lose it. They can go and lose a couple more, and they'll still be so far ahead. I've no doubt that they will continue to pick up points, but if they at this point in time stutter over the line, it will still be absolutely fine. Last season, after January, Klopp and Liverpool were knocked out of the League Cup and the FA Cup in their very first fixture, meaning he just had to focus on the Champions League and Premier League. The Premier League, the pressure wasn't so high because they were just chasing Manchester City. As for this time, they can be pretty relaxed with that. The FA Cup obviously only comes around once every so often, and barring any replays, they could basically plan ahead and look at the really tough Champions League ties that they've got coming up. In all honesty, it would take a slip of Steven Gerrard-like proportions for Liverpool to screw up the league at this point, and if they do, it will just be the biggest bottle job ever. Can't see it happening, and they are well on course to go ahead and go to the latter stages of the cup competitions as well. But now we come on to the main reason, and it's kind of off the pitch. It affects everything on the pitch and everything around the club, and that is Jurgen Klopp. The guy is just a genius, and is probably the key factor as to why Liverpool where they are now, and why they can go on to be such a dominant force in the upcoming years in English and European football. His start at Liverpool wasn't exactly unbelievable, but it's kind of the same thing that we saw at Dortmund. He stuttered for a few years, led Dortmund into the Europa League, then eventually built a squad that won back-to-back Bundesliga titles. This whilst taking on the behemoth that is Bayern Munich. They won the 2010-11 title and then recaptured the title the year later, breaking all sorts of records on the way. At the time, this season saw them get the most points in the Bundesliga, the most wins with 25, and the longest unbeaten run in 28. Those records have since been broken by Bayern Munich, but just goes to show you what Klopp did with a bit of time and allowed to bring in the players that he likes. When Klopp implements the system, it's pretty hard to ignore the attraction to it, and I think that's what brings so many players to Anfield at the moment. Kevin Prince Boateng, who only spent a few months with Klopp at Dortmund, literally said that Klopp's half-time and before game speeches were so motivational, you just wanted to run out onto the pitch and literally die for him. Imagine all of the players doing that every single game. That's probably why they're so intense and so good. The best thing about it is Klopp manages to maintain the motivation within himself and also pass it on to the players who are going to be playing upward, if they reach the final of everything, of 60 games a season. It's this kind of consistency which will eventually win them titles. And finally, well, they have kind of got a few omens on their side, because comparing Liverpool to previous treble winners, you can kind of see a few similarities. Since Manchester United completed the feat in '99, it has been done 4 times in Europe's top 5 leagues. There was Barcelona in 2009 with a fresh-faced Guardiola straight into management. Jose Mourinho and Inter did it the following year, Bayern Munich in 2013, and Barcelona again in 2015, the last time they won the Champions League. If you take a look at these 4 teams, you'll see striking similarities. In 2009, Barcelona were incredible. They were literally dominating world football, and that calendar year, Pep Guardiola and Barca won all 6 trophies available to them. The way that they pressed, dominated, and really smothered the opposition at home is something characteristic of Liverpool this season, so you can see where the similarities lie. As for the Jose Mourinho Inter team in 2010, well, this is the Jose Mourinho team. There weren't exactly stylistic similarities between that and what Klopp's doing now, but the mentality was there, the belief in the system and in the manager was there, and eventually Mourinho completed an unbelievable treble. As for the Bayern Munich side of 2013, well, that was the side that actually went on to break a fair few records that Klopp and Dortmund had set themselves a couple of years earlier. And as well as this, there is a massive link I could see between the midfield rotation at Liverpool and the midfield rotation at Bayern that season. The midfield is the engine room. It's where you win the battle of the games. And Bayern had 9 midfielders in use that season. 7 of them with above 15 appearances and 6 of them with above 20 appearances at least. It was this rotation, the fact they literally had a cup team and a league team which saw them dominate everyone in their path, including beating rivals Dortmund in the Champions League final. And lastly but not least, to come to 2015, as we mentioned before, where Barcelona last won the Champions League, and the front 3 of Messi, Suarez and Neymar, MSN, were just incredible. 122 goals they scored between them that season. Sounds like a pretty good front 3 that we're already familiar with. Salah, Mane and Roberto Firmino. Now, of course, those guys aren't on track to reach 122. I don't think any trio will ever reach that kind of number again. But the way that Liverpool are attacking, they're doing a pretty similar job to what Barcelona did. So they're winning 2 and 3-0 rather than 6 and 7s, but you still get the gist. And at the end of the day, you still get the 3 points or the victory. It's because of all these similarities and everything that's gone before in the last few years, I can really see Jurgen Klopp doing it. Of course, if they get knocked out of a competition, it will be a shock. Regardless of the opposition, Liverpool have got to be favourites in every game, in every competition, because how dominant they've been in the league and how they've reached 2 back-to-back Champions League finals and are the current holders. Whatever happens for here on out, it's an incredible Liverpool team. They've just got to get the trophies to prove it. So what do you guys think? Let me know in the comment section. Can Liverpool go on and win the treble? Just how good can this team be in the upcoming years? Let me know your thoughts down below. Smash the like button whilst you're there and check around the screen for loads of other content we've got on Onefootball. But until next time, I'll see you guys later.